We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity.
We know the air is unfit to breathe and our food is unfit to eat. As if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy.
Silence! The great and powerful Oz knows why you have come.
You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
You have meddled with the primal forces of nature.
Don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, or what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts.
It's time to buckle up for making sense of the madness.
And who loves you? And who do you love?
Hey everybody, Jason Bermas here, and we're going to be getting into different aspects of artificial intelligence, transhumanism, and the more things change, the more they stay the same, and so on. A lot of people right now are rightfully concerned about companies such as Palantir. But what I don't think that they understand is that companies like Palantir have existed for quite a while right now. Some of them have been in and out. One of them would be NARUS Insight Systems, and we're going to talk about them. But they toe the line between a commercial business and a government entity. And in essence, a lot of these things are really shell corporations. It's not just the megalithic ones that we often talk about as Trojan horse civilian systems, or really a part of the military-industrial complex, like the Googles of the world, and yes, the Metas of the world, and yes, the Amazons of the world. It makes people uncomfortable to even fathom that, because we're told we live in a constitutional republic with the democratic values where government and corporations are separate. But that's just not the case. That's just not reality. Okay? And that's why I have advocated for a very long time now that we absolutely live in and have lived in for a very long time this techno-fascistic society. Okay? And that's why when Trump, for instance, goes out there in the first week and he signs an executive order stopping the government from being able to censor, what does that even mean? We've talked about signature reduction again and again and again in this. All right? A plausible deniability circle is always created through privatized groups or non-governmental organizations, which sometimes even get taxpayer funding, right? NGOs. That's why I wanted to separate the two. But in so many of these cases, they are simply cutouts for the intelligence community we often talk about. So we're actually going to be doing several things in this broadcast. Number one, we're going to give you an update on essentially, the progress we're publicly seeing with brain-computer interfaces, Neuralink specifically, because Neuralink's not the only one that's commercializing it, and we're hearing more and more from them, but BlackRock also has a neurotech division, okay? And it's important to acknowledge that, because a lot of people, when they hear Neuralink, they think Musk. There's a lot of either hero worship or outright hate. But when you talk about BlackRock, the vast majority of people out there are rightfully concerned with that organization. It feeds into that techno-fascistic aspect. And this latest Neuralink achievement is this woman who's been, completely paralyzed for some time is now able to go into like a paint-like program and try to sign her name. We're going to show you that. And then we're going to get into the issue of digital twinning and quote-unquote digital immortality in a sense, not getting to the point where they've convinced humanity that you are able to upload your consciousness, right? Convert your consciousness, but that you're going to leave this avatar behind that's going to communicate with everybody. It's like Jor-El to Superman. Now you think about that, that would be the first time, at least, we were talking about firsts the other day with humanoid robots and Star Wars and the Jetsons. I would say the first time that I've gotten a real look at what an AI avatar is right now, not in the future, right now, it's very much like Jor-El and talking to Superman. Superman has those little, he pops in there, they're different programs and things like that. That would almost be obsolete already. So it shows you, like, even looking into the future or future technologies, we often get things wrong, even when they're really out there. So William Shatner has recently created this kind of digital avatar of himself. We're going to show you that story. And then I'm going to leave it for a surprise. We're going to go a little further with that story. I got a couple of clips that I want to integrate into this idea of virtual reality, digital twins, and Shatner himself, because Shatner is, most known for Star Trek. Tons of other roles, but Captain Kirk, he is synonymous with it, okay? And when we actually talk about Captain Kirk, when we talk about, things such as space travel, going to Mars, etc., the Enterprise, the holodeck system, so much of that is really integrated to the modern day NASA perspective. And they're selling you that we're going to Mars. Well, I'm going to show you the NASA people telling you robots are going to Mars. And we're creating a virtual universe. And then, as promised, at the tail end of the program, we are going to get into a section of Invisible Empire, showing you that we've been tracked, traced, and databased before Snowden told us. Okay? Well before that. And they use this commercial venture with the National Security Agency. We're going to show you all that. And now with Palantir, the thing is that they're going to have predictive behaviors on a level they've never had before. And it's going to integrate with this digital twinning technology that we're also going to highlight here. So, been on a little bit of a jag and a rant. I want you to thumbs it up, subscribe, share, ring that bell, please. If you are new to this broadcast, if you're just seeing this stuff for the first time, if you haven't seen all the documentary films, they're free down below. Please give a comment, get involved, watch the documentary films, and consider supporting the broadcast. I hate to be doing it like this. You notice I for years, I've barely been promoting the Buy Me a Coffee after they threw me off the GoFundMe, all that stuff. That's because I had paid gigs. There are no paid gigs. I want to continue doing this. I hope that you guys want me to continue doing this. So $5, $10, $15 absolutely means the world to me. Thank you so much, Chris Costello and others. And there are other links down below if you don't want to do the Buy Me a Coffee. If you want to remain more anonymous, that is also very, very appreciated. Let's get into it. Paralyzed woman reveals shocking effect of Elon Musk's Neuralink brain chip. And we've talked about the human aspect of this. Okay, I get it. If I was completely paralyzed, if I had ALS, if the only way that I could communicate again using a computer, a device I'm using right now and I'm very comfortable with, was through this, I would be hard-pressed to say no. But the problem is that they're very outright as to what they want to do with this. This is not just to make the paralyzed walk again or communicate again. And by the way, I think they're over-promising, and they've always undersold on that. The regeneration of nerve tissue to react via these things. Again, I think there's been a lot of over-promises in that, but they want read-write capability. And they want it to be commercialized and normalized. All right? This is something, read-write capability of your brain. And these things, Musk told you, have been going on for decades. Dennis Bushnell, who we're going to play an audio clip of him and a video clip for people to really get it. I mean, he talked about 200,000 people already with brain chips by 2018. And this clip, he's going to tell you where you're going into the virtual era, where all this AI actually leads for humanity. It's not a place I want to be. So let's show some of this. Okay, I tried writing my name for the first time in 20 years. I'm working on it, LOL. Cruz posted on X while showing the world the first attempt at a signature since 2005. Okay, paralyzed in a car accident when she was 16. And there it is right here. There's the attempt, right? And there's more of it. And being able to, and listen, I get it. I get it. I can almost remember it like it was yesterday. The first time that I was even able to get on a computer and play with what was Paint and Photoshop at the time. Paint was just as important as Photoshop. And then, they kind of barely taught you Illustrator, although that was extremely important when you got to vector-based graphics. I'm not going to dork out too much, but I have fond memories of it. I'm not a Luddite. We're talking about almost 30 years ago in my life, well over 25. And if all that was stripped away from me, and I didn't have that ability, I mean, prior to that, this woman doesn't have the ability to grab a pencil and sketch or crayons. I loved drawing as a kid. Loved creating things that were in my mind. Loved trying to replicate things that were in front of me. Right? Put your own spin on it. Get out the creative process in your brain. Totally understand it. But, technology is that dual-edged sword. So now let's get into Shatner. Okay, and like I said, we're going to do this story, but it's going to have a little bit of a twist. And I'm just going to say this. If you are in the YouTube chat and you could ask William Shatner anything, what would you ask William Shatner? Well, that's kind of the point of this whole thing. And I'm being serious. Write it down. Let's talk about it. Star Trek legend William Shatner discovers powerful new way to live forever. Now, Shatner's 94 years old. He's had some work done. And maybe that's something you'd want to talk to him about. But this has been around for a couple years. It's called StoryLife. Okay? All one word, StoryLife. And normally, we would play a news clip so you could understand what's going to happen here. And basically, they're recording this guy on a green screen. They're talking to him. StoryFile, not StoryLife. See, I get things wrong. I'm babbling a bit. StoryFile creates an avatar of you. All right? And it creates a generative AI similar to ChatGPT, like Jor-El. Think about that for a second. We were accustomed to as kids. You talk about predictive programming, you talk about acclimation, whether you really realized it. Number one, that Superman's an alien, right? So aliens exist. And number two, he's the strongest, he's the best, he's great. But he's talking to an AI avatar of his dad for advice all the time. It's a pretty cheap facsimile, if you ask me. And all of this is simply imitation. Okay? But I can understand the appeal of it. Now, the other thing that's kind of ironic to me is that, right now, and we're going to talk to the avatar of William Shatner. That's the surprise, folks. How we doing, William? Yep, we're gonna get to you. Don't worry. He's a little stiff. Up, yeah. I know. You're a little stiff, but we're gonna get to you. Remember, it's the Star Trek series where they're constantly on the holodeck and constantly interacting with AI avatars of historical figures. Well, now Shatner's trying to create one of himself. Now, let's take it even further than that, right? We have so much of our lives that have been tracked, traced, databased. And when they're databased, now you can throw it into this system, how our habits have changed, how they've stayed the same, who we've banked with, where we spent our money, how many times we've swiped our cards, our GPS location, medical records, you name it. You name it. Okay? So, if anybody wants to do what we're about to do, you just go to StoryFile's X account. Okay? You just go right there. Here it is. And then you can click on it. We'll go back. And it's got the little link. And now we're actually going to talk to the avatar of William Shatner. So get your questions and comments in. I'm going to read them in a second on what you might want to say to Mr. Shatner. Like I said, thumbs it up, subscribe, and share. And here he is, the avatar of William Shatner. You know, the first thing that I saw from one of the listeners was about horses. So let's ask him. Yep. William, I understand that you enjoy horseback riding. Could you tell me about that? See what we get. Let's see what we get.
That's a great question. I don't have an answer for it exactly, but I have something that relates to it.
Oh. What relates to it?
So what's up?
See how bad this is. Let's ask him something else. Let's see what you guys have. Like, it's embarrassing at this point. Let's see. Let's see. I can't. I don't have a lot of scrolls. Does anybody have anything? William Shatner is patiently waiting to get a word in. What a great guy. Let's go back to him. What was your favorite Star Trek program that you were not involved with?
No. There are several iterations of Star Trek. I haven't watched one. There have been, 2, 3, 4 Star Trek movies. I don't think I saw one in its entirety, but the gentleman playing Captain Kirk is wonderful. He's young, he's handsome, he's athletic, he's rich.
Who was your favorite actor that you worked with in your career? Nothing? We got nothing here. Who was your favorite actor that you worked with in your career?
Montreal is built around an extinct volcano, so the city is circular, essentially. And in the center is this low mountain called Mont Royal. So Mount Royal is a park, quite a large park. In the center where the caldera was is a lake, Beaver Lake. Geez, I haven't said Beaver Lake in 70 years, man. So Beaver Lake would freeze over because of the cold winters. We'd skate on Beaver Lake. The hills were where I first learned to ski. And somewhere along the line, somebody built, I remember who it was. Unbelievable. Norma Springford, who had directed me in several college plays, started the Mountain Playhouse. And she asked me to be a member of the company. So I became a member of a professional company doing summer theater. And they asked they asked an American actor, Jack Creeley, tall, funny guy. He was a comic actor. And Morse, his last name is Morse. something Morse, a very good, not great, but a very good English actor. God, I can't remember his first name. But he was very much an English actor, very with the English accent.
Yeah, I had to stop that. So apparently, this program, at least right now, is very much like Grandpa in The Simpsons. Yeah, that's right. It's more like that. It's not an actual avatar. So let's get back into NARUS Insight Systems. Let's bring it back to the beginning, like I said. NARUS, Deep Packet Inspection, and the NSA. Now, I often talk about this because this was that system that should have been all over the front page, and for some reason, the media just completely ignored it. But they were okay with the Snowden leaks. You know, you have to ask yourself, you know, why certain things get play in the media and why other things do not. I'm just pointing that out. Let's read some of this. While the supercomputer systems NARUS makes are likely not available to the state and local law enforcement, except perhaps to mega departments like the NYPD, they are in use by the largest and most secretive of all U.S. intelligence agencies, the NSA. Now, in this, they talk about a journalist named James Bamford. Okay, first of all, it talks about Mark Klein, who worked for AT&T's Geary Street switching facility in downtown San Francisco in 2002, when he received an email saying that someone from the NSA was coming to the office to do business. Klein thought that was odd because he knew that the NSA was not supposed to look at U.S. communications. The switching facility was one of many where trillions of U.S. communications pass through each year. Okay? Now, in the Shadow Factory, it mentions James Bamford. Let's type him in because James Bamford, with Body of Secrets, we'll do it live. For Body of Secrets, right there. That was the first time that the Northwoods documents, which are now infamous for their false flag similarities to 9/11, he published those. James Bamford's the one that got Clapper on the record lying about spying on Americans. All right? Like, James Bamford is the man, is the man, is the man. Is Bamford still alive? He'd be a great interview. Yes, he is. He's still around at 78 years. You know, James Bamford gets little to no acknowledgement for all the amazing stuff that he has done. So hats off to him. So Bamford really went deep in this, okay? In January 2003, Klein and several other employees toured the company's giant switch on Folsom Street. There I saw a new room being built adjacent to the 4ESS switch room where the public's phone calls are routed, he said. I learned that the person whom the NSA interviewed for the secret job was the person working to install the equipment in that room. So without further ado, as we have been doing here, we're going to play that subsection of Invisible Empire. Thumbs it up, subscribe, share, and once again, folks, if you can, please consider supporting the broadcast with the links down below. Let's hit the clip.
So it should come as no surprise that they have been tracking, tracing, and databasing our lives for years. Many people are aware that the Bush administration engaged in warrantless wiretaps on American citizens. What they don't understand is that it's come out in court that all the major telecommunications companies have been secretly storing every piece of data received from our phones and our computers and handing them over to the National Security Agency.
You heard about the government secretly listening in on phone conversations without a warrant, but there is evidence that your email is also being tapped. The government has been intercepting most emails as part of its terrorist surveillance program. That program has been criticized as illegal because it's missing an important ingredient: search warrants. Several years ago, Klein says he came to suspect that AT&T had installed secret computer gear designed to spy on internet traffic at the request of the National Security Agency.
This is just a small part of the picture, as AT&T was not the only company involved and emails were not the only issue. the NSA was installing NARUS Insight systems, which are capable of monitoring billions of bits of internet traffic per second. It was also able to monitor any calls trafficked through its system, all websites visited, all instant messaging, and separate types of transaction records.
The secret room at AT&T contains gear which enables the government to look at every individual message on the internet and analyze exactly what people are doing. Here's another document. It mentions a company called NARUS. NARUS makes computer software that can swallow and analyze 10 gigabytes of information every second. That means it could go through all the information in all the books in the Library of Congress in a little over 15 minutes.
The documents Klein and others were able to produce were then censored by the NSA.
Bankston isn't allowed to talk about the documents in detail. The government has since had them sealed, but he says what is in there boggles the mind.
We are talking about a substantial portion of all the communications traffic in the United States.
The policies have been shielded by the Obama administration and continue to this day. Attorney General Holder has publicly stated lawsuits be thrown out of court, and after several attempts, Klein and other cases were thrown out as well, once again citing the national security of what used to be a constitutional republic, not a massive corrupt slave state.
Living in the New World Order.
And we're living in it. And we're living in it. And now the next step, because we really have accepted so much authoritarianism, we've accepted mass censorship, you know, this whole freedom of speech, not freedom of reach, right? It's Johnny nonsense. You know, it's like you can't offer a service and then not have an equal playing field. Yeah, you can't have shadow bans. You can't have where you're the largest technopoly in the world and you're working on artificial intelligence, which is a warfare tool, with NASA, with the NSA. You're working with quantum computing with them. You have the largest search engine. You have the second largest search engine, which is YouTube, and also the largest video platform. I mean, come on. You have an immortality division, Calico Labs. Like, what planet are we on right here? You have one of the largest operating systems in the world, Android. I mean, that's the government, folks. You know, that's the whole speech to Howard Beale by Ned Beatty in network, the whole nine. And now the next step is to sell you that we're going interstellar. And you're going to be able to merge with machines and upload your consciousness. And we're going to Mars. We ain't going to Mars. It's crazy talk. So first, we're going to show you this individual from NASA telling you who the first on Mars are going to be. And I got news for you, folks. It's going to be robots, okay? It's going to be robots on Mars.
You've got to be thinking 30, 40, 50 years out. And Andy is absolutely right. And I tell people all the time, the very first things on the surface of Mars are going to be robots. Right. You know, think about what we do for American forces today around the world. We don't send soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines often into a very hot area first. We try to get in and make the environment safe for them using
usually
robots or whatever.
Send missiles in
yeah,
first.
but we're actually, I imagine there's going to be a fleet of robots, maybe humanoid. They don't have to look like humans. They're going to establish the habitat. They're going to go in because with 3D printing, we can put a fleet of robots on the surface of Mars. We may find, based on what we know about the radiation environment, that we want to go underground rather than, you know, have huts on the surface that get blown away in the wind that doesn't exist. But that was a critical part.
And he's talking about the Hollywoodization of the movie with Matt Damon. That's the guy sitting there, the author of the book that turned into a movie.
I tell my wife, it's a movie, okay? Very, very important part. But it may be that robots dig under, you know, go subterranean and establish the habitat. Anybody ever do, you know, build houses for charitable reasons? You don't go there, and there are no 2x4s on the lot. There are prefab structures, so you get eaves and walls, and that's what we're going to do on Mars. But we're going to print it, I think.
Also,
so they're talking about fleets of robots. All right, maybe humanoid, maybe not. They're the first on Mars. But now you're going to hear another way. We're going to hear from Dennis Bushnell, who you're going to see in a moment. All right? And he's going to tell you about nanobots surveying, and then you can virtually visit Mars.
And you were talking about robot exploration, and I'd mentioned Ray Kurzweil to you, and you'd said that he'd spoken at NASA. And to me, the way that you described robots almost as kind of like the children of mankind really stuck with me, and it put what we're doing on Mars right now in a new perspective for me.
Well, that quote, robots being the children of mankind, is actually from Hans Moravec from Carnegie Mellon. He has various books on this. Robot is one of them from the early OOs, as I remember. And the idea is that we are currently becoming cyborgs at a very fast rate. The IBM Blue Brain Project, which is nanosectioning the neocortex and replicating it in silicon, has made such good progress that they are claiming in 12 to 15 years they will be able to market a biomimetic human-level machine intelligence. The nano-functionalization of robots is continuing apace very rapidly. So there's no reason why in the 10, 20 year, 15 to 25 year out, that exploration can't be done very well with robots at a cost which has been estimated at about 1/1000th that of sending humans. So one way to do this exploration of Mars and so forth is three ways. Three stages. One is to send the nanorobots and instrument the planet and send back the data. And the Brits demonstrated 5 senses virtual reality, haptic, taste, touch, smell, sight, and sound recently. So everyone could explore Mars anytime they wanted to at 1/1000th the cost of sending people.
So think about that. Do they even really have to survey it? Or can they just create a virtual Mars that most people will think that the robots are on? I'm sorry, folks, but I'm very skeptical, number one, of rocket technology taking human beings to Mars. All right? But just rocket technology in general in these vast arenas of space. I suspect something else is at play here. All right, I suspect there's different types of propulsion systems, and we haven't really seen those type of craft, which have, I don't know, great military capability as well. But here's Bushnell really letting the cat out of the bag. So everything's going to be virtual, but at the end of the day, there's nothing these robots that we're creating can't do.
There will be essentially no jobs the machines cannot do. We currently have creative software that are doing ideation just as good or better than humans now. The creative jobs will be the last ones to go, but I have not been able to discern any jobs that machines cannot do as machine intelligence and all the rest of the autonomous robotics develops. So now we're to your question, okay, what do you do with these people? We humans are now converting ourselves into cyborgs. We now have artificial retinas, artificial hearts, we have brain chips. DARPA's working on brain chips for super soldiers. We can have a high bandwidth COM port built in, so we don't have to use the sensors and their very limited bandwidth. And eventually this all ends up with uploading into the machines, and instead of us versus them, humans versus the machines, we become them.
Or they become us, he says. These people are very outright on what they are intending to do. It's in their very own words, it's in their very own white papers, it's in their very own documents. And we're seeing the genesis of that. And look, a lot of it's clunky, right? The William Shatner thing was absolutely cartoon level. But a lot of it's honed in. Like I said, with the YouTube right now that you're watching, we didn't even come close to 1 out of 1,000 subscribers watching. Not 1 out of 1,000. And even though there's been small growth, it's been extremely limited and truncated. Should you show you the predator class, the powers that shouldn't be? They got a plan, and they're sticking to it. It doesn't matter who's necessarily in office, right? There's certain changes that happen, but the more things change, the more they stay the same. We'll say it again. Folks, you know the drill. I need your help now more than ever. There are no paychecks. If you enjoy this type of material, if you enjoy real alternative media that's not just talking about the same things that everybody else is talking about all the time, please consider the donation. Please check out all the documentary films for free in the playlist section down below. Loose Change Final Cut and Fabled Enemies for 9/11, and then Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined, which we just watched a subsection of, and Shade the Motion Picture. Folks, it is not about left or right. It is always about right and wrong. I absolutely love you guys, and I will see you all on